And we're back to another episode of Let's Play Final Fantasy IV. I am your host, the RPG guy. My nose is a little stuffed up today. I think it's allergies. I'm allergic to really hideous hookers. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway. They don't have to be that hideous. Anyway, so when we last left off, Sid gave us an airship to allow us to travel the underworld. And there's only a few bonus side questing areas. This was before Square Enix put it in their head to, Squaresoft put in their head, oh, we should have these huge epic side quests that are so ridiculously big that, nobody really does them. And that's kind of true in many cases. A lot of people will ignore the side questing aspects of many of the various Final Fantasy games because your side questing ends up making you stronger than the fucking final boss of a game. And that kind of defeats any challenge the game initially had. So, but this was back when they had balance. Debatably some balance. And we are in what is known as the Sylphs Cave, one of two optional areas in the underworld. And luckily this first fight here is with a group of tunnelers. Who are very uninteresting. You can see we murdered them. But don't let that fool you. The enemies here are assholes. Concentrated assholes. Concentrated rage. Bleeding from an infected asshole. That's really what you're walking into here. We'll stick with the silencing arrows for now. Number one, the floor is poisonous. You see this green muck, this kind of off-green color stuff on the floor? If you touch it, it damages you. That's why we put float on our characters as soon as we walked in. Some of the other enemies here, the Sylphs Cave specifically, is home of the first variation, the first incarnation of that which is known as the Malboro. For those of you who are Final Fantasy fanatics or fans, you are very familiar with what a Malboro is. And for lack of a better word, it's an asshole. It's a creature that is just by definition a big asshole. And we want to make sure that when we fight these giant assholes, that we are prepared. Sorry, like I said, I'm trying to breathe. Now these are the bog witches. They're not that interesting. It's a relatively painless fight. What the bog witch likes to do is turn people into toads, and then turn themselves into a toad to, I don't know, be toaderific. I fuck if I know. And a quick summon AoE Blizzara is usually enough to subdue most of the toads. So if you're trying to conserve MP, you can also ignore that. There's no reason to run from that fight. I know a friend of mine who used to run from bog witch fights, and I never really got a straight answer as to why he ran from... Oh, shit. And yes, you gotta redo this every floor for the float spell. I don't know why he would run from bog witch fights. He's like, well, they don't give a lot of XP compared to everything else. That you run into, so I just rather not bother with them because they're assholes. And I'm just kind of looking at him like, no, you should totally fight bog witch fights because they're actually decent XP there. So yeah, and I'd go for the toads because they're the ones that actually do the converting. In a sense, they're the one that actually what they do is he just kind of summons thou arts to turn your party into frogs, and the sooner you kind of relieve the bog witch of the toads, he'll just toad himself to help make the battle go by faster. So I don't really know how else to describe that for you guys, but yeah, for the most part, that's how it plays out. And like I said, it's not that interesting. Here it comes. And then sometimes you see a lot of that, where the character just gets pretty much turned back into normal. And you're just like, oh, that was just so much fun. Alright, so I won't show you really much of these fights or the tremors. You've seen 2 of the major enemies down here. We'll affiliate them with major enemies. Well, quite welcome to it. Yeah. When we start running into new shit, that's when we'll make sure to show off some new fights here. Yay! Let me see. We don't want to go that way yet. And you actually have to go through this dungeon kind of 2 times, or 1.5 times, and you'll see what we're talking about. Here are Malboros. This pretty much every Final Fantasy's game variation of an asshole. Your best bet to kind of power them to death. Just hit them with your strongest stuff as quickly as possible. They don't usually open up with bad breath, and those of you who know what bad breath is, it's legitimately every negative status effect in the game rolled into one. Uh-oh. But in this game, I believe it is, yes it is, it's single targeted, so there is some, you do have a resort of surviving it to an extent. Come on, Kane, get that kill. Yasuna is your friend. There we go. I think he's got like a sap on or some shit. There we go. But yeah, those Malboro fights can be a bitch. And you don't ever want them to drag or carry on for very long if you can avoid it. That's a hard thing to avoid, too. I'm not going to sit here and baby it. The Malboro fights are notoriously difficult, and no matter what Final Fantasy game you're playing in most cases. They hit you with bad breath, your day just got a little fucking worse. Especially if it's somebody who has the Asuna spell. That's actually when it gets most annoying. Alright. Yeah, but again, your best bet. Kill them off one at a time. Maybe have Rydia focus her attention towards one with a spell while the rest of the party tries to quickly kill the other. Alright. Here's a save point, which I don't think we need to utilize right now. We're doing pretty good on, you know, gear and all that shit. So if you were wondering about this chest, here you go. For the most part, it's gonna be I think in some versions it's a weird wraparound, but we'll get to it. Yeah, right. And the elven bow. Let's see here. It's an upgrade, so we'll take it. And we'll head back this way. Uh-oh. Alright. It's not too bad when you have the Malboros focusing only on Cecil. But, still never fun when you really have to get into it. Yeah, right? Keep moving. Kinda didn't want to do that yet. The extra floater I didn't want to actually have to cast, but it is what it is. One of those things where the mapping kind of gets annoying because you want to make sure that you got it, so you're going to go down and reach for it, and then you kind of overshoot and go into the next zone, the next area, next floor, what have you. Make sure we get that back area. Okay, so this is as much as this floor as we can do. Let's go ahead and use that save point because I've realized I'm burning through a lot of my MP very quickly. So that way, we don't really have to worry about MP conservation here. So let me go ahead and bust out some tents and then save, and then we'll keep going. Alright. Ah, shit, I always forget that when you fucking use tent. Like, for some reason, float is a fucking status factor or something. So, very, very good. We're all healed up. Let's move out. Okay, to the second doorway leading south. And And we need to heal on up. Heal on up. Not heal on up, but float on up. Son of a bitch. No, now she's not floating. There we go. Fucking piece of shit. There we go. I'm gonna fill with that bullshit. Alright, let's move. So we've got these two doors. I believe we're gonna go through the top one first. Leave the top door leads to an area, and then we gotta come back and kind of take the middle route. But there's also this little open area over here. Okay. God damn it, like 2 steps. Alright. As pointless of a fight as that can be at times. And we get a Mage Masher with an enemy ambush. We'll show these fights. Gives you kind of an idea of how I go about this. The Bog Witch is the most threatening thing in this fight. Outright, so we're gonna go right after her with everybody except Redia. Will summon Shiva, and that'll pretty much end the fight. Literally, that's all you gotta do. You could also use Blizzara or Blizzaga as well, but I think Shiva's just as good. So, not much to these Bog Witch fights, and the Big Masher is kind of a nice little grab, you know? Just to make sure we didn't miss anything, let's go back one more room just to make sure. I have a feeling like I'm missing something. Anyway, everybody levels. Yay for that. Because there's a chest over there we didn't get to, and I feel like I'm missing something. So these new enemies here are pretty assholey. My suggestion is sleep the shit out of them. Depending if you can or not. Which, yep, we can. You can silence them both, rather. Or silence them all. And follow it up with that. And then it makes them rather harmless for everyone else to put almost all their focus elsewhere. So we can now put our focus on the Malboro, who's the bigger threat, as long as we can pull it off. It's just these fuckers like to sleep you, and I believe you can silence them. But apparently I did not. So I might have to change what I'm doing, my strategy here a little bit. Son of a bitch. You assholes, you gotta hit that fucker. But yeah, those fucking things like to put you to sleep and all the like, so don't let them stay alive for too long. But when it comes down to it, I honestly will say the bigger threat can usually be the Malboro. So if Redia gets the opportunity, I'd have Redia probably go for a powerful spell on the Malboro, because these other guys can just kind of be meleeed down to size. It really just depends on what you feel like at the time is the bigger threat. These fights are annoying, and later we're going to use tricks when there's like plentiful amounts of these things in one fight, in a sense, to deal with them. But right early on, there's not much that you can really do to make the fight tolerable. You just kind of have to sit back and hope they don't silence or sleep you. I mean, the Malboro, you could go after them first under the strategies that we have available to us. One could very easily argue that going after those things are probably more important, because if they silence Redia, chances are the battle could go south as the battle kind of edges on. Alright. And like I said, just to make sure that we haven't missed anything, let's go back one room to be on the safe side. God damn it. Alright. Whew, that was rough. Yeah, I think I'm doing this right. I think I'm going the right way. Okay, hold on. Come back here real quick, and then let me go through that first door. And let me remove that from fucking Kane. Even though silencing to him doesn't really matter, it's just, I'd rather not. You don't usually want anybody's status effects to linger. There's various reasons for this. None of them good reasons for the most part, but not in this dungeon, but it's out of habit because if you were playing a different Final Fantasy game and you were dealing with enemies that single target silence, you would want them to always go after Kane. And a lot of games know when a character is silenced and will ignore them and go after a different character. So if that character is not silenced at all, then there's a chance they'll go for him. Whereas if he has that status effect on him, they tend to try to ignore him. Alright. Let's keep moving. There we go. Completed that for a silver apple. We're going to talk about these in a minute. But I figure we wait till after these upcoming bonus dungeons that we're doing. The golden apple. The Antarctic wind. Because, you know, when I pass wind, sometimes it gets a little cold and a little chilly. I'm gonna just kill this guy real quick. So I did it backwards. You should come to the first door you see and then the next door. One of the rooms I vividly remember you skip over like the first door, and then obviously the room I was talking in was not that room. Alright, so we've gotten one of the floors completed. Alright, and Cecil has joined the 3000 HP club. I should have mentioned it when he first did it, but I didn't even think about it at the time. But I'm just pointing that out now. Oh, God damn it, that's not what I wanted. So many, like, quasi-useful spells in this game. They're borderline useless. As we make our way to the next door. Alright, and we're walking. And then, of course, we are floating. And this is the same in the next dungeon, too. The floor is kind of, in a sense, trapped with a bunch of bullshit. Things that damage your health as you walk around the dungeon. So you just literally have to do this every floor. The only purpose is to make you burn through your MP faster. Alright. Let's keep moving here. Oh, god damn it. Okay. Yeah, those fights can be brutal. Not that they're brutal, but they just take a long time to get through. They're not hard, like I said, because Cecil's the focus of all their attention. But they do take their time to get through. As we now start arriving to what seems like a strange and unique location. Let's take a look. Make sure you map this all out, too. You'll be kind of pissed if you don't. What is this? As we get a Kiku Ichimonji. And an Aura Staff. One thing I want to check, too. Okay, I was losing my mind for a second. Alright, so we get a better weapon upgrade for Edge. 2, technically, but that's debatable based on what you're fighting. The Mage Masher we need to talk about. You probably will want this on Edge. It slightly lowers his attack, but it gives him better intellect. It gives him a slightly better speed. It definitely gives him better accuracy if that wasn't enough. And the reason we give it to him is there are some enemies that are weak to it. Right now they're few and far between, but we'll just put it on him for now, just for shits and giggles, because we're gonna get another upgrade for him a little bit later in the game, so it just makes sense to kind of get him sorted out. The Aura Staff is not that interesting, if you're wondering. I don't think much of it. So make sure that you talk to Yang while you're here. So that's what fucking Heineman's been up to. He's been plowing all these sylphs. Alright, I'll be gone,
Eek, humans, no, they're hideous, run.
And this takes us back outside. Woo! That was rough. We're gonna tent up and all that good stuff, and then we'll be right back, going back into the dungeon yet again. Alright, so we've, I actually changed my mind about using tents. We healed at the Dwarven Pot. I was thinking about, like, looking at my tent inventory, and I'm like, wait a minute. There's a place to heal for free down here. Let's do it. Alright, and luckily, Rose is going to level soon, as is Cecil and Edge, so I'm excited about that. But there's a second area of this dungeon, considered to be the harder area that we've yet to do and deal with. Alright, so let's head down this way. We're gonna refloat again. Another floater. Should really do this. That way when I cast it, when I go to cast it, it's at the fucking bottom. Make it a little easier to get to. Okay, last time we went through that south exit down at the bottom. This time we're gonna go through the exit, this entrance here. And we'll double check and make sure it's the right one. It's easy to get turned around. Yeah, it's the one area we haven't been. It's easy to get turned around in this place. And most people think that, and I would agree with this next thing that we're going to tackle here is actually the harder portion of the dungeon. What we just did getting to Yang is considered the easier portion. Alright, let's keep moving. Don't use that tunnel because it's obviously going to fuck up your ability to map this place. As we'll grab these chests. And the fairy rod. Now let's talk about this fairy rod briefly. We're not really getting the ability to use whips much with Redia, so the fairy rod's a pretty decent upgrade, as it raises her intelligence by 7 points. Again, a great option. Now if you're playing an older variation of this game where this whip usage thing isn't a big deal. God damn it, I know we can walk through here. Isn't a big deal, then you only put the whip on her during boss fights, but for everything else, definitely use this fairy rod. Alright, let me go back this way, because obviously I'm not getting through there. There's a way over that way. Just gotta find it. And I think it's something as ridiculous as this. Yeah, okay. Let's keep moving up and over. Alright, let's keep moving. We should be able to get in here. Alright, yay! Obviously we can't map the rest of this room out, but we'll have the means to in due course. In due course, of course. Alright, let's move. So we did that pretty easily. Again, they didn't really give me any trouble, so sometimes they'll give you a hard time, but this time not so much. Bomb core. 3 grand, 2 grand, a remnant D. We should be able to finish out this floor, which will be nice. There's a hole near, yeah, I was gonna say, there's a hole near here, and you're gonna not want to fall down it yet. And there we go, we completed the Sylphs Cave for another silver apple. Again, we'll talk about those in a little bit. There's no reason to talk about it now, when there's still more of them to acquire. Alright. Maiden's Kiss. Ether, I keep forgetting to heal Cecil after fights sometimes. You're just getting so many of them, you stop thinking about it. Don't worry, guys. We're almost done with this dungeon, for what it's worth. Yeah, here we go. Oh, shit! There I go again, hurting myself like a fucking idiot. So you can really see that replacement for cover that we've got, draw attack is really useful. Alright, let's keep moving. What's nice is that the next area is a lot shorter than this one. And Edge has joined the 200 club. The 2000 club. In other words, HP over 2000, which is nice. Another delicious silver apple. Yay! Alright, so we've made it this far. This is going to lead us to the last area. Whew! And this is probably the most difficult area. But the Japanese version, as well as the other iterations, excluding the US version, actually the US version of this area is pretty rough compared to like the others, because you don't get the items in battle. And really what these battles are is the following. I gotta find it first. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where? Da, da, da. Bronze hourglass. And pretty much we'll just do this the entire fight. And if Edge gets put to sleep, somebody else will do it. Somebody else will do it. This is the entire fight. And this is gonna apply to every one of them. Just bronze hourglass it, and then take your time killing everything. Alright, so we got us a red fang. It's a moon ring, which is not that great. It's not as great as it sounds. We get introduced to these new, these elder Trents. They like to berserk themselves, and then kind of bring you the pain train, in a sense. But luckily, all three of these enemies are weak to fire. So you may as well just summon a, you may as well just kind of summon Ifrit to get them kind of out of the way, because they're going to go right after Cecil. And the other issue that makes this fight really rough is that if the Malboro gets a chance to bad breath, and the Trents get to attack, they'll practically kill Cecil in one hit or so. And usually you don't want that. But look at that, already cleared 2 of them out. This battle's pretty much over with. 1 or 2 more hits, and it'll be finished. And it is. Freaking sweet. Not necessarily a hard fight. Now, the moon ring, let's talk about that. Not much to say about it, other than it is a weapon for Edge to use from the back row without taking a penalty. But since he can use his swords from the back row without taking a penalty, the moon ring is a little obsolete. It's stronger than the Ashura. It increases his speed, but it lowers his intellect and his accuracy for now. But this is definitely a good substitute weapon for the Ashura. It is an upgrade to the Ashura. It's just really up to you whether or not you want to use it or not. I don't really bother with it that much. So unless I have to be in the back row without the back row bonus in older variants. Okay, so we get a weapon known as the Avenger. Let's talk about this. It's pretty decent. It's as strong as the Ogre Killer. It comes with mostly the perks of a sword, but it fucks with his intellect and his spirit a little bit. What I'll tell you is this: don't use it. Normally, it has a latent berserk effect. I actually will use it just to show it to you. It has a latent berserk effect. So if you're gonna fight stuff, you know, and you don't mind having Cecil be berserked through the whole thing, okay, go ahead and use it. But if you don't want him berserked, which I would say most cases I would not want him berserked, and you can't remove it either. It's not like you can Esuna it away. But if you don't want him berserked, then I would suggest not using the Avenger. I mean, it allows him to reach out and do some mad damage, because he's fucking berserked. I mean, that's kind of the whole point. He's fucking berserked. But at what cost? Again, as you can see, it's pretty vicious weapon for a pretty trivial use. I wouldn't, like I said, I don't recommend that you use the Avenger, but like I said, I'll show you what it does in the battle where this is not necessarily a big deal. At least it's not a big deal to me. Alright, another Fang down. Let's keep moving. And the blue Fang, which I think... another one of these. Alright, one more chest. And this should be the easiest chest here. Thank God. It's just... yeah, it's just 2 tunnelers. Alright, and that will end this fucking dungeon. Oh my God, I hate that place. Of all the dungeons in the game, the Sylphs Cave is considered to be one of the most annoying, next to one other. And we still have to go back there later in the game for another side quest option. Again, don't think too much of it yet, because like I said, we saw Yang there. There's something relevant to that, right? You're right, there is something relevant about Yang being there. but we can't do anything about it now, which some people would say, oh, well, you're here prematurely. It's a moderate argument to make, to say that. So anyway, we're all healed up. We've got one more stop on our side questorama, and this is going to be probably the place most of you really wanted to see. I don't know if we'll get through the dungeon portion of it probably this episode, for sure. Or I could just save it for the next episode, because that would be a little bit better. I think we'll do that, actually. But look at that. We went in at level 50 on Cecil. Everybody just gained serious levels, and they're about to gain serious more levels in this next cave. This next cave is a lot easier to navigate and get through, just as a heads up. But there's going to be some other aspects of it that make it rather rough. But nothing too bad. We are easily strong enough to handle anything that's in there, thanks to the freaking shame that is the Sylphs Cave. So anyways, I want to thank you guys for stopping by for this kind of shorter episode, and we'll tackle one more side quest area. So we'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye!
Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Please take a moment to check out more episodes from the RPG Guy, Tuesday Night Team Up, and more. And please subscribe. Always support the channels you enjoy watching, and while you're at it, follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Google+. Keep on gaming hard. See you next time.